How's it going, guys? Andrew here from ISC. Today I'm here with Evan Ignatowski. He came up here to visit us at our headquarters here in New Hampshire, and he's the first one to participate in our build series that we're doing on our YouTube channel. So thanks for coming up, Evan. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I figured it was right for how long of our relationship has been that me being the first one to do this.
Absolutely. You know, we've been collaborating for about 10 years now on all of his builds primarily, but this one in particular has kind of been in his possession from the start, and it's been through a lot of cool changes for a lot of different disciplines. So I think it's great to tell the story of it and check out all the things that you've accomplished over the years.
Yeah, definitely.
So hope you guys enjoy it, and looking forward to watching this once it's finished.
This thing's pretty sweet. How's it going?
Thanks. What's going on? It's good to be up here. All right, so we'll start with under the hood. It's still factory 2-liter FA20, but with a large Turbonetics turbo, which is way too big for the displacement that it's at. But started NA. I was one of the first people to buy the Kraftwerk supercharger kit back when Kraftwerks first released it. Drove it like that for maybe 10, 15,000 miles. Took it to the track a couple times with it. My buddy with an STI still had more power than me, so I ripped that kit off and I bought this used turbo kit, and now this has been running for 20,000 miles or so, and it hasn't blown up yet, so we'll see.
Yet.
Yet. Now that it only sees track time, I'm pretty much just waiting for it to blow up, but we'll see. It's been good so far. It makes like 315, 320 to the wheel on just 10 PSI. It's not crazy, but it's a very conservative tune to try and save the engine and transmission. When I knew I was gonna start tracking it like dedicatedly, I wanted, not only I could have bought a front splitter, but I wanted to really make my own and make it affordable. Carbon fiber ones are like $500 and up. I wanted to just make my own, so I found some birch plywood. I did a little bit of research for what other people were using too. Birch plywood, it's strong enough that I can stand on it. I bought just some custom supports, I forget what company these were. And then my DIY air dam to block a little bit of the gaps is actually just Home Depot garden edging. So, and then we come around to the side. These are our Driveway Labs, I guess side skirts. He actually tests all this stuff to make sure it actually functions as what a track car would need. I just have a Battle Arrow wing for now. Eventually I want to upgrade to an actual chassis mount through the trunk. I have a buddy of mine that I'm working with right now who does CAD to try and design some uprights to mount a wing that way. But that's another couple $1,000s for a carbon wing for that, so that's still kind of on hold. Besides that, I have the Driveway Labs version 3 rear diffuser. It's made out of aluminum, it's super strong. This I probably could stand on. I'm not going to, but I probably could.
Now we gotta test it.
I don't want to get proved wrong and then destroy my splitter. It goes all the way to the rear differential, so it covers the whole rear. That's about it, besides just carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber trunk, and then I guess the big thing would just be the wide body kit.
How long did it take for you to start modifying this car?
So I bought it in the spring of 2013. I was actually going there to buy an STI, and they didn't have any in stock. And I saw this in the showroom, and I'm like, how much does that cost? And can I drive it? And I drove it, and it was great. So obviously, here I am 10 years later. It didn't take long for me to do an intake, a catback. Then I started with sway bars. I started going into more suspension stuff after I did the intake and catback. Sway bars, lowering springs, did a couple other small mods, and then I went right into cutting up the body less than a year later. I think it was like 8 months within me buying the car that I cut it up and put this wide body on it.
That's sweet.
So the car I was going to leave stock as my daily really turned into something a little different.
So throughout the years, we've seen this car change immensely many different times. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the previous designs and how many different looks this car has had?
Yeah, I might actually lose count. But so once I got the wide body on, it was painted just the regular World Rally blue that the car was originally. After that, blue with the digital camo fenders. That was pretty much at the height of like going to car shows. I got featured in a magazine, and that was 2015. 2015 was great. Like I went to like a show every single weekend, and it was winning awards like crazy. Got featured in the magazine. Did a lot of cool photo shoots. That was digital camo. Then it went orange, and that one was it was like a big 180 from like the color palette of what I'm used to. I like blues, greens, whites, blacks, and going something super bright like orange, I figured I'm gonna go to a lot of shows, might as well make it bright. I did it orange, didn't last too long because I got bored quickly of that color. So then I got it wrapped a darker blue. I would say it was probably my favorite. I really liked the blue, like in the sun, it was really deep, but wherever the sun hit, it was like a nice like World Rally blue color. It was that. The next year I changed the front end a little bit, so I had to rewrap the front, the same blue. And then after that, when I started to really just track race it, I went gray with red at the bottom. That one was really nice. Then after that, I decided I wanted to go back to blue, so then I had it wrapped. Then I wrapped it this matte, I forget what exact color it was, but it's basically just a matte blue. A buddy of mine would make fun of me that it's the exact color as like blue painter's tape, and it literally is the exact color. We held it up. So yeah, so this is painter's tape. It's not even vinyl wrapped, it's just all painter's tape. Then once it was all blue, I wanted to do like the Subaru, like how like the Brembos on the STIs came, like the neon yellow. I wanted to do that, so I did the brakes. I did this cool little design. I don't really know where I got it from, but I thought just a progressive, smaller slats would look kind of cool. Finished up the side skirts and the rear bumper area, and then I did the wing pieces on the ends. The wheels are Kansai wheels. I found out about Kansai, they actually reached out to me. I used to have a different set of their wheels that I raced on, and then they saw that and they reached out to me. They sponsored me for these wheels. At the time, these were their new release wheels, and they're great. They're flow formed, so they're fairly light, and they're not really expensive at all. So the interior is fairly basic, and it actually is fairly stock besides the cage. So there's been different versions of this car that I've had either just the interior gutted, or well, most of the time it was all like original. Then it went pretty much completely gutted, but I've kind of found a happy medium of track focus, but also still a drivable interior. So I got the same fab company that did the downpipe and the exhaust that you guys will see later. Did the cage for me. I just did a half cage. Eventually I do want to do a full cage. I might have to take this one out and then do a full cage. But half cage, at the time it was still mostly a street car with track car purposes, so I didn't want to do too intrusive of a cage. So half cage, perfectly safe for now. I just have some Takata 3-inch seat belts with some Sparco seats. These Sparco seats actually I bought used off of a buddy of mine out of one of his GC8 rally cards, which is kind of cool. He's a good friend of mine. He's down in Florida now, but I mean, it's kind of, he parted out the car because he wasn't racing anymore. So I thought it was kind of cool. At least for me, like they came from one of my best friend's cars. So other than that, I just have a Sparco steering wheel to match. I have 2 AM gauges just for boost and air fuel. And then besides that, it's just a car. It's basically interior from B-pillar forward. So in the back, I don't know if you want to get a shot, it's just cage and it's just empty all the way back to the trunk. So like I said, it's not really anything fancy. Other than that, it just I have an IRP short shifter. It's bolted like to the transmission tunnel. So it's like super direct, but downside to that, this is one of their first gens. It like rattles a little bit, but I mean, now that's a track car, it doesn't matter.
Pizza boy in the house.
So we'll talk about the aerodynamics first. Obviously you guys already saw the splitter, but for underneath, pretty much all of it is OEM Subaru, from the front being the skid plate to the transmission shield. I did the Veris Engineering transmission tunnel, what would it be called? Flat bottom, I guess. But what I bought additionally was the OEM Subaru JDM under shields. Only downside to the turbo kit was that I had to clearance the OEM skid plate to fit the header, which was a little bit of a downside. That this is kind of just open. I also had to make the diffuser around it, and I used some of the heat wrap on it just to protect the wood, because it is wood. Next to like the hot turbo header, so I mean, had to kind of try and protect it somehow. And then just for the front, obviously the ISC coilover still that will show, and then just white line bump steer kit. And then the subframe, I did white line urethane bushings for the subframe, and then I have the white line diff bushing kit as well. Besides that, then I did all new control arms, everything in the suspension. So I forget what brand these are. I don't remember. I think they're just Megan Racing front, the traction rods. At that time is when you guys sent me the ISC toe adjustment rods. I had these from like day one when I put the coilovers on.
Yep.
And then the upper control arm, I just did some white line bushings, urethane bushings. So everything, if it's OEM, it's aftermarket replaced with bushings, but if it's anything that I actually replace, it's all aftermarket adjustable. So then just for coilovers, obviously the ISC N1s, nothing fancy about these. I got them so long ago when it was just a street car. Eventually, we're gonna upgrade. But right now, they've been doing perfectly fine. I've put maybe like 18,000 miles on them. A lot of them is track use because I don't really drive it that much anymore. So we're gonna see what the coilover looks like underneath this cover. Now, we haven't taken it off, so I don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it looks like. It's been, I don't even know the last time I adjusted a ride height or anything. But like I said, it doesn't drive in the winter time, doesn't really drive when it rains, but there's still tire rubber, which is all over the place on this car, rocks, sand, dirt. We'll see what's underneath.
Cool.
Maybe spider webs.
Yeah, oh, definitely spider webs.
So we'll see.
I can see some spider webs right there.
Yep. Yep, but look at that.
Looking brand new still.
Brand new. So these are actually 04 STI Brembos in the rear. And then the front, I think, were like 2010. They're like the black calipers with the STI logo on them. So the factory brakes did okay for track use. I had the factory brakes when I was supercharged. Then I just, mostly for looks at the time, I wanted a bigger brake kit, which is actually how I met you guys, because you guys had the ISC big brake kit.
Yeah, hold on one second. We have them on this car over here. We used to have ISC calipers, which was pretty cool, but that was a thing of the past.
Yep. So that was actually how I began the sponsorship with you guys. Not even for coilovers at first, because I was on Air Ride. I got the big brake kit from you guys. So that was just the front, still had factory rear. I was building a different turbo Impreza than what I have now. And I took the ISC brakes and I put it on that. And I was like, I want another fairly affordable, kind of like an OEM plus brake kit for these. This was like a year before the BRZ TS came out, when they actually had the Brembos on it. I was pissed about, because they actually came factory with Brembos. But so these were like a 2010 and up. I had them repowder coated. They were fairly low miles, so I didn't need to rebuild them or anything like that. And they worked pretty much fine. So there's just an 04 STI rotor, since that's 5x100. The rear was off of, since that you couldn't use that generation STI because the e-brake system is different on this one. This one's more similar to like a 10 and up. So I had to get, I think I got like a 13 STI rotor, but then that's 5x114. So then I had to drill my own 5x100.
Oh, dang.
Which was a task in itself.
Yeah, I bet.
Luckily I got it right. There's no like vibration, no shudder, no nothing. So thankfully I got the drilling correct for that. I just used basically an adapter spacer, but without any studs on it.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good idea.
And these are actually ISC what were ISC adapters.
Oh, right there.
Now they're just spacers. But yeah, so actually I think I used another set of these, and I used these as the pilot holes to drill my 5Y100, which thankfully worked perfectly fine.
Sick.
So yeah, it's a whole hodgepodge of brakes. It was, when I did it, there wasn't much like info on it, so I kind of had to just go back and forth. I had old 04 STI rear rotors I tried, and that's how I figured out that the e-brake system on this one was bigger, so it wouldn't fit. And then I just randomly bought like a tented up rear rotor, just like a regular blank rotor, and it fit, and like the handbrake worked. So I'm like, all right, now I know I need that rotor, but the bolt pattern was different.
Right.
So
Cool. Well, we appreciate you coming down from Connecticut and showing us your car.
yeah, no problem.
We're gonna go across the street and get some shots of this thing.